The April 17th, 2019 regular Canby City Council meeting. If you please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Just for tonight, please, we're going to take just a brief moment of silence this evening, please. Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next on the agenda this evening is the State of the Library presentation. And our Library Director, Irene, is going to walk us through that. Hello.
Hello. He's deserted us. I'm Kathleen Myron, the chair of the library board, and we are happy to be here to share the state of the library with you. You have in your packets quite a few papers with the information. So this slide lists all of our board members, and I would like to read a brief thank you. I'm here today to report to the City Council in compliance with Canby's code requiring such an annual report on the state of the Canby Public Library. We of the board and staff of the library are most grateful for the support from the council and staff of the city. The achievements of the library in meeting the diverse library needs of the Canby area community. I lost my place. Sorry. The diverse library needs of the Canby area residents have benefited and continue to benefit from the teamwork we've been experiencing with the city staff, council, and library staff. The supportive teamwork is recognized and greatly appreciated. The contributions and support, both financial and in personnel service, of community groups, library volunteers, Library Foundation, and Friends of the Library, and enriching the programs and services offered to the Canby area community through the library are also noted and much appreciated. We thank all of you for your encouraging support. Our intent in this report is also to share specifically some of the library's and board's accomplishments over the past year. One of which is now to have 2 board members who represent Canby's unincorporated service area, and to have a student representative from Canby High School on the board. We're delighted to have these 3 individuals volunteer to serve on the library's board. The report will also note changes occurring within the Clackamas County Library District and actions of the Library District Advisory Committee, LDAC. Now to the actual slides. As I noted, the first slide has to do with the board members. The second slide lists why we are here. So we intend to inform the city and also advise the City Council of concerns in accordance with the duties of the Canby Public Library Board. Next slide. What is the Canby Public Library today? So this slide reminds us of the specific purposes of the Canby Public Library to exist, reasons likely familiar to all, but which reaffirm our joint dedication to accomplishing these purposes. The library is a learning center, community living room, and a place to connect to technology resources. It also details a 2016 Pew Research survey of library users by the user age groups up on the far side. Slide 4. This slide lists our quick statistics July through March, the last 10 months. I'd like to highlight the fact that 111,458 individuals came through our doors in that period, with 14,293 patrons assisted by library staff at the information desk. Slide 5. Our accomplishments during the fiscal year 2018-2019. So, as you can see, much has been accomplished. I will list just a few of those achievements. An increase in board members from 5 to 8, with 1 non-voting student representative and 2 representatives from the unincorporated areas around Canby. That gives us more flexibility in our board function. The new makerspace now being used for coding classes, math devos, and avionic camps, looking to the future. A 187% increase in teen program attendance and participation, and a dedicated part-time teen librarian enjoying the updated teen room with computers and laptop bar. Also, expanded community services with an outreach van, participation in citywide events, and citizenship classes. Slide 6. The next few slides detail our programming. The first one is the children and family programs through April of this year. And I'll just note STEAM's Wild Weather, Microbes, Mad Science, and the Children's Discovery Room. Again, this focus going to the future. Next one is teen. Teen programming. I would like to recognize at this time Karen Batridge, who is responsible for our teen programming. So we have leadership through the Teen Advisory Club and STEAM's Numbering Divas, Ready, Set, Code, and Canby Eagles, Avionics, and Camp. That's listing just a few. Again, the participation in this whole area has increased 187%, which is challenging our current staff level, as additional staff is now needed to cover those programming hours. Slide 8 is our adult programming. So music in the stacks continues, lifelong learning, estate planning 101, exploring retirement options, disaster preparedness, and much more. And one thing to note is that now programming among adults is so popular, classes are filling up and we are having to turn people away. Space and seating requirements for programs are also challenging, and attendees have spilled out into the foyer on occasion. 9, community outreach. Elementary schools and scouting groups have toured the library while the staff has traveled out into the community, including to Caris, to meet and greet, to involve more people. So 10 is partnerships. The list of partnerships is impressive. And I would say it's a variety of groups which enriches the experiences and resources offered at the library, including the Friends, the Library Foundation, Canby School District, Kiwanis, and several others. And as you can see, they benefit a lot of the programs. Slides 11 and 12 is what's coming soon. So we have the Library of Things, which is a grant-funded program in cooperation and partnership with Clackamas County's Office of Sustainability and Solid Waste. That's in the process of the details being worked out, so that it starts in June, I believe.
In July.
And then, slide 12 is what's coming soon. Right now being processed are 20 Chromebooks for use in the library. So we're working out the details. I shouldn't say we. Our library staff is working out the details. I'm hoping to use them. Slide 13 is our Library District Task Force, and the main purpose here is to identify challenges facing the county library district. Some we share and some are specific to each city. There is an opportunity for each city to participate by appointing as many as 2 members to the task force. They will have one vote together. Then the 3 subcommittees, the city may also appoint 2 members to each of those subcommittees, and again, 1 vote, and they will feed back information to the main task force. There's a roughly, it's either an 18 or 20-month timeline, depends on which paper you get. The Library District Advisory Committee is reviewing this and will be reviewing it at the April 22nd meeting, this next Monday. We send our recommendations on for revisions or approval, and like our library board, the Library District Advisory Committee is an advisory body only. So, slide 14. These are the priorities and recommendations from all the library directors uniting of Clackamas County who have met, and they list in detail the primary goals and actions as part of the LINCC cooperative. providing equitable access to all the libraries, and championing especially educational development and social support for all youth, birth to teens. That's just 2 of the cooperative imperatives. Those preceding slides obviously list or describe a lot more information than I've just noted, and we all encourage you to spend some time studying that information. It's very pertinent to our operation. Slide 15 is looking to the future. So what are the library's needs? Well, the first one is financial stability. And that ties right in with the second one of meeting as many of the Oregon Public Library aspirational standards as possible. Our board is reviewing the state standards right now to identify areas needing more work and where we are meeting those standards. Our want is, of course, to meet the growing expectation of the library and of the city. Okay, our recommendations. Canby's City Council should meet with the Clackamas County Board of County Commissioners and insist that the library boundaries be adjusted to reflect our actual community service area. We need to appoint 2 members to the Library District Task Force, and we need to provide the assets necessary to continue growth. Finally, thank you again for your continuing interest and financial support in the library and in its success. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Question.
Yes,
You know the 2 people that you need to appoint to the task force, now, are those community members, or are those among us up here, or, I'm not sure.
For the task force itself, the hope is to involve some city councilors, if possible, directors of our libraries, and knowledgeable citizens familiar with the library, and to include in that hopefully some people from the outlying area, from our unincorporated area, to keep their voice in the process. Some of that may just come in those subcommittees. So that's what we're trying to hash out in LDAC. Our recommendation as members of LDAC and our boards is, how's this going to work? So I encourage anyone to come to the LDAC meeting Monday up at the Clackamas County complex and ask questions directly of the county representatives. Our new liaison with the county will be there, and hopefully we will have more information. Right now we're dealing with a draft document, and there have been concerns expressed and questions, and I know there's also apparently been some confusion. The task force itself was established last year by the Board of County Commissioners, who are the district library board. And it is mainly finessing what's this process going to be like? How's it going to work over the next 18 to 20 months?
What time is that meeting on Monday?
7 o'clock.
And where is it?
It's up at did I bring the notice? As you're coming from this direction, it's the First County Building, room 119. And I'm trying to think, is it Business and Services?
Businesses, yeah, it's the Business and Services Building on the
Red
Red Soils campus.
Yeah, on the ground floor, and you'll see a gathering of librarians.
I also just want to make a comment. It's remarkable how much programming has expanded in the last 3 years since the library opened. I mean, I think back to the small little, library on 2nd, like, wow, I don't know, it seems like I'm just throwing out a number, it feels like 4 times as much programming, but it just feels like it's impressive, so.
We have a binder that we used to sign people up, and it was like 20 tabs in it. Yeah, that's a lot.
So, well done. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to commend you guys on the job well done. You guys are doing a very good job keeping the library going, and it's just, you're doing a wonderful job. Our library board is a very wonderful group of people. I've really enjoyed spending some time with them, getting to know them, Irene and the library staff. So good job, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very
Councilor
much.
Parker, did you have anything?
Roger.
Well, two things. First of all, congratulations on figuring out the key to Generation Z. I remember when we first opened up that teen room, it was vacant, so some clever work went into that. Thank you for doing
Amazing.
that. The other thing that I'd like to encourage and challenge the board to do, which it sounds like you need no motivation from me, but is to pay attention to the changing demographics that we've got going on in this city. That our median age is skewing to older. That's going to mean some people with vision and ambulatory accommodations. And those are things to take into account as you plan ahead. And then the other thing is just my personal endorsement and encouragement for serving underserved populations. That I think we can look around and see people who aren't here. And maybe some of them could use those services, frankly, maybe more than I could some days. So with success comes expectations. And since you guys have been great, I thought I'd even encourage you more. But thanks a lot for making us proud and overflowing our rooms. I never thought I'd hear that, where we had a program that had more people than capacity. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Again, Irene, top-notch job to you and your team there in the library. It's been,
They're a good group. They work hard.
well, and you know, it's, staffing is a challenge, I know. And when you got a 187% increase in teen participation, as Councilor Parker said, to go from a challenging space to an overflowing space to the programming pieces that are going on, it's impressive to see. I know that we as a council, and we had met regarding the task force and the needs coming up regarding that. Do we have a start date on when this task force is starting or is planning to begin looking at kind of that list of objectives that's been put together?
They've talked about hopefully spring.
No, they're pushing it to summer.
Summer.
It's very.
It's moving really slowly.
They were very urgent when it came to the Gladstone Oak Lodge Task Force, and that's where
Sure.
their concentration was.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
You know,
So now
We
it's.
have some
now it's
distinct
not
feelings
needed.
about that for sure, so.
Yeah.
futures, you know, futures. So it's
Yeah.
like, yeah.
And so I just want to make sure that you're looking for, there's 2 members from each library district. So from Canby, there's 2 representatives.
Right.
To voting members.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're looking for some mix of maybe a city councilor, the director, i.e. you, or knowledgeable citizens. So somewhere within that mix of options, we got to come up with 2 people,
Somebody that can push
hopefully
on
by
those
summer.
maps.
Say that again?
Yeah.
Somebody that can really push
Yeah.
for those maps to get changed, aggressive.
Well, and the redistricting piece
Right.
is what, I think, again, going back to the meeting we had,
Yes.
pushing a year ago now on that.
Yes. Yeah.
Regarding that and the bleed that we have between us and a couple other cities around us in terms of what that could mean for our long-term operations as well. So I think that definitely is something that in my dealings with the Board of County Commissioners, I will add that to my list of things to press on Chair Bernard and a couple of the other commissioners coming up here in the next couple of meetings I have coming. So, because that, I think, is a crucial piece for our long-term success.
Yeah.
Is the expansion of the districts to properly balance out what's being used, right? I mean,
Correct.
Nothing against some of our surrounding
No.
cities,
No,
but
nope.
let's be realistic in what that could mean.
And
Yes.
Joe may be able to weigh into this, because I was looking at one time the Oregon Code, and it did say that the district boundaries were supposed to be looked at every 10 years, every census year. Remember that
Okay.
email I sent you? And it was
Yeah.
not looked at
They haven't been
in
reviewed yet?
2010.
Can you send that to me as well, please, so
Sure.
that I can have that as some armament when I go and speak kindly with our Board of County
Right.
Commissioners, because I definitely think that that's that's the case, then we need to make sure that that their end of the bargain is held up in that regards.
Because it could take years.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that should have been done in 2010. It's, you
And
know.
now here we are, almost
Exactly.
2020.
Here we are,
So we're-
exactly.
Yeah, because the next census won't be out, I think it said till April 2023 is when the actual results of the next census will be out.
Right.
Which is,
So that's a
So-
while
Well, that is
for us.
too far off for us.
Right.
yeah,
I could see it unfortunately dragging out that far to where then, which could be a catch-22. I mean, it's an impediment to what we're trying to accomplish, what you're working towards here.
yes.
But when we look at those numbers, because we see it based on what we feel and the numbers that we've got coming into Canby, that could play into our favor. But I think the whole area's seeing a tremendous amount of
Oh,
growth.
yeah.
So it could be, so I think we got to push on that as much as we can when we can. So, and then LDAC meeting Monday, 7 PM, Development Services at the Red Soils campus there.
Yes.
Be there if can be and start to get a feel of what's going on. in
And
that end.
I will note that the chair we have now, El Matenko, basically, we're following a policy of audience participation. So it is not just the LDAC reps, it is also the directors and the audience. People actually do have a chance to speak,
Perfect.
so.
I don't know if there's other comments, but I will say, I know there's a number of the library board members here as well. Thank you to the board and your hard work.
Welcome.
I mean, to go from where we were to where we are currently and where we're rolling towards is really, really impressive. And it really puts us, I think, in a great position. And I think it really puts us, I think, ahead of a couple of the other cities around us that I think we've been trying to get to meet what they're doing, and I think we're passing some of them as well. So congratulations, Irene, and keep after it. And thank you to the board for your hard work on doing that. I don't know if there's any other comment along.
I'll just mirror what you say. I appreciate what you said, Mr. Mayor. And I know that we have some unique geographic challenges because we are at the edge of the county. So where other people get concentric circles around where they are for budgeting purposes, because we are at the very edge of the county, we have unique geographic challenges budgeting wise. And I really appreciate the work that you guys are doing. I think that as a team, we can assemble a force to really advocate for our library, because I think that you guys provide a lot of services to our community that fill gaps. And I'm really grateful for that. And I'm sure that our team here can back you in some capacity and figure out how we can best advocate on behalf of the library, because you do fill needs. And also we have unique challenges geographically that the other cities and the counties don't have, that are a they're a disadvantage to our budget. And I think we can do something about that. So I appreciate what you said, Mr. Mayor, and I think that we can figure it out.
Just want to encourage everybody too, when you go into the library, make sure that you're saying thank you to the library staff. They're all working incredibly hard, and some are doing 2 and 3 jobs and working their tails off, working their fingers to the bone, and they do it without complaining, and they do it with smiles on their face. So I know a thank you goes a long way. So when you go in there, make sure you guys are saying thank you and saying hi to them. But again, thank you guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Appreciate the update, yes. I'll move into communications. Joe, Kim, anything?
Nothing to report.
All right. Tonight, next up is the first opportunity for citizen input and community announcement. There's an opportunity for audience members to address the city council on items not on the agenda. Each person will be given 3 minutes to speak. Your first part of fill out a yellow comment card is located back on the podium here. If you want to fill them out, please bring them to the city recorder, Michigan Village. She'll log the information and send it my way. Depending on what the issue is. Thanks. Staff and city council will make every effort to respond to questions raised during citizen input before tonight's meeting ends, or as quickly as possible thereafter. For agenda items, please fill out the yellow comment card and give it to the city recorder on which item you wish to speak on, and we will add it to that piece of the agenda. So the 2 cards I have right now, the first one is Carol Kramer. Recap and a clarification. Evening, Carol, how are you?
Good evening. Hi, Mayor Hodson. Hi, Council. Pleased to see you tonight. I have two real quick items. I attended the meeting on April 3, and something you said, Mayor Hodson, made my ears very happily perk up, and I want to follow up with that. And that is, you had stated, and I went back and saw it on the video, that you have an invitation to visit Willamette University regarding their LGBTQ programs and resources to learn from professionals, I'm assuming to learn from professionals, educators, and student groups about this subject, and that shows excellent leadership for this community. And so as mayor and leader of this community, I think it would be important to return with whatever is learned and share, so that this is a learning, teaching moment for this community. And do you know when this visit is to happen? I know there's a lot going on, but just curious about when this might happen.
So currently, right now, myself, so the person that reached out to me was somebody that I worked with in a previous life.
Okay.
And so we're playing email tag and trying to work out a date.
Okay.
Coordinating work schedules and whatnot. So my goal is to hopefully have that visit and sit down here before the end of May.
Oh,
is my
excellent.
goal.
Okay.
So I'm
Really
trying
looking
to
forward.
meet as quickly as possible with as many people as I can.
I am looking forward to feedback on that, and thank you for seeking that out. And second, and this is a point of clarification, which is asked with all due respect on behalf of some people that have asked me to ask you. And I watched the video also of the last meeting to confirm this, and I read your interview conversation with the Canby Herald last week, and in that article, it states that you had apologized for in the April 3 meeting, but there's not really anywhere on the record that was found that there was an actual apology, and so I don't know what that refers to. And so for clarification, what were you referring to? Is there a personal apology for something? Specifically, what is it for and to whom it is directed? So there's just there's unclarity, lack of clarity. There we go, lack of clarity on what your comment meant in the Canby Herald on that. And given that this was the venue for all of that discussion, I was asked to ask that here.
Sure. I am not totally sure.
Okay.
I would have to, I think, sit down with Carol and ask her.
Okay.
And review our conversation and her notes from that. So I'm not sure. I read the article, but I'm.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that necessarily jumps out at me right now on.
Sure.
I mean, it just, from that meeting, it's more of, if it was said there or maybe lost in conversation, the thing that probably warranted an apology was from the first meeting back in I guess it would have been the end of our second meeting in March, was not doing a better job reeling in the crowd reaction at times, that was unnecessary.
Okay.
So, in other conversations and things past, and much like I did at the last meeting, was reel those types of things in much better and much sooner than I did at that first meeting regarding the applause and things like that. So
Okay.
that may have been what that apology piece was about.
Okay.
Because I did not do a very good job on that meeting before. But again, I'll have to maybe sit down with Carol here, and maybe she and I can review notes she's giving me a nod that might be a
Okay.
case, and we can truly vet that out accordingly.
Okay, just a point of clarity for
Sure,
people that are asking for
absolutely.
it. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Carol, thank you. Next is Sarah Rodriguez.
Hello, Mayor and council people. I'm here from the Canby Transgender Alliance. As you may suspect from the last meeting, the statements from our community members came out at great emotional expense, and even to some, the risk of personal safety. I want that to not go unnoticed and unacknowledged. I do want to thank many of you for, and the mayor and some of you council people, for the statements that you made at the end of the meeting. Although many people had left by that time, The comments were heard, and they were appreciated and were encouraging. So just to recap again for clarity, a few of the members have some questions from the last meeting, mostly for the mayor, and they hope to hear about the progress during the next, I guess, the next month. So as it was requested, when and how will you provide the information from Canby's charter demonstrating that you or anyone else can refuse recognition of any specific group? I'm just going to run through the list and then I'll turn in the paper. Is that okay?
That would be great, thank you.
And when and how will you be providing a comprehensive list of all proclamations given since taking office? As the mayor, you indicated that you would be meeting with the superintendent of Canby Schools and the police department, or the police chief. Have you met with them? What transpired? When will you be meeting with them if you haven't? Have you responded to any of the members of the transgender community? Have you responded to any of their requests for meetings or information from them? So have you responded to them and or have you met with anyone? And if not, when would you do that? As many of the members in this community have expressed support and demonstrated their need, they would like to know, we would like to know, will you be issuing a proclamation for International Transgender Day, Visibility Day? And that's it.
Do you want me to answer those right now? Because I can,
Sure. Yep. Thank you.
yeah. If you want to pass me that list of questions there, Kim. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. So regarding the information about the Canby's charter and whatnot, the request for that came from an individual, and so I have reached out to that person, and we'll be getting her that information, at least either getting that to her or helping, pointing her in a direction where she can get that information. Regarding meeting with the superintendent and the police chief, yes, I'm working out those dates with both of them currently, trying to get, again, schedules coordinated so that that can happen. And then, so that's on that piece. I have responded to several, but not all. The list is long. I've had a couple of meetings already, and I have others lined up that are currently in the process. So there was a number that have reached out to hopefully have constructive dialogue and hopefully help me understand better the situation that's going on regarding the Canby Transgender Alliance and the transgender community as a whole. And so in terms of when, again, just coordinating work schedules and things like that to be able to do those meetings. In regards to issuing a proclamation for International Transgender Day, specifically for next year, that I can't speak to right now. I know that there's been a lot of dialogue with a number of the counselors about looking at our list of proclamations and how do we do and sort through the current list of proclamations that we have, and so I'll be working, I've reached out to a couple of the counselors to be having that conversation, what that's going to look like, and seek their input and feedback on that. And then, as well as, is there feedback, or does there need to be an actual process put into place for proclamation? So right now, I can't answer that question. I just know that we're looking at, I'm seeking some input from some of the members of the council up here to be able to do that. So that's kind of where those are at. I know there's not a lot of concrete items, but I am working on a number of those pieces and trying to get that figured out. So I have written your number down, Sarah, so is it okay to reach out to you and keep in contact regarding these pieces? Great. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Rena Bicknell? Did I say that right? Hi, Rena. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Good.
So I am here. My name is Rena Bicknell. I go by she, her, or they, them pronouns. Mix it up, use one or the other, shrugs, whatever works for you. And I wanted to talk about, you mentioned you have someone from a previous life. Was it a coworker that you know from Willamette University?
Yes.
Okay. So I recently graduated from Willamette, and I am, obviously now, a queer individual who knows a lot of other resources available on campus, who are definitely willing to share information, as they are, professors. And so I'm offering myself and them as a resource. I actually live in Salem. I live within walking distance of Willamette's campus. So it is not a problem for me to get people in touch with people. If you need to use me as a middleman, whatever works. So I just wanted to offer that in terms of information about queer individuals, queer communities, specifically trans communities as well. I also worked very closely and as a member of the Queer Student Union when I was a student there. So I know a lot of people that would be more than happy to offer their knowledge and expertise, I guess, including myself. So I would like to extend that to everybody on the council and anyone in the community who also wants to know about that. Yeah.
Great. Rena, thank you. I've also jotted your phone number down as well.
Yeah,
and
give
I
me a
will be
call
in touch.
anytime.
Absolutely. Thank you. And congratulations on graduating, by the way.
Thank you. Very happy to be done.
Yes. Great. That's the end of the cards that I have, so thank you all. I appreciate it very much. We'll move into mayor's business. A couple of, iron out my list here, a couple of things. Update everyone regarding the Ackerman Recreation Complex. So I had to do some rescheduling regarding the next field feasibility design layout. We had to move that to next week with some scheduling conflicts between the city team as well as with the design company. So that'll be next week. We've been shooting for the goal of having a community kind of open house regarding the almost final plan. That is also being pushed out until we can review the next set of drawings or renderings of it, and then also get into having initial intergovernmental agreement conversation between Canby School District and the city. So we're hopefully getting that ironed out here soon. There still seems to be a lot of excitement about this opportunity to be able to see what we can get to have happen. A lot of discussion that is happening out there, and so hopefully we'll have more by the next city council meeting. Regarding the Area Commission on Transportation that I'm on that committee for, so give you everyone an update. So the construction project is nearing the deadline on I-205. So part of House Bill 2017 was many of the construction projects to be able to get the next wave of funding had to meet certain construction deadlines. And so the project that pertains mostly to us is I-205. I think it's Foster to 84. And so they are quickly trying to meet that deadline so that they then will get the funds released to be able to move on to the next phase of that project. So you're seeing large construction sites going on and a lot of late-night movement. It's because they're under the pressure of getting that deadline met. From that meeting also came out in the year 2017, so we're Region 1 of the Area Commission on Transportation, so that's Multnomah County, the eastern part of Washington County, Clackamas County, and Hood River County. There were 293 crashes in highway work zones throughout the Region 1. So they're really trying to draw attention to that to get people to slow down in construction zones. 293 just in our region for a year is an awful lot of accidents to have in construction zones. Oregon Department of Transportation is still under the new director search. And currently, the ACT committee is reviewing the State Transportation Improvement Plan project list for the years 2021 to 2024. And so we've dwindled it down to all the projects that are hopefully going to make that full funding that they're going to need to do to get funded. It's only like, I don't know, I have to review 100 projects, I think, for that. So, and then also we just finished up reviewing the State Transportation Improvement Fund grant, so different source of money and whatnot for active transportation items and not so much roadways and freeways, but other projects that are more geared and available for grants. So that's been going. That's what's new on that. Clackamas County Coordinating Committee. Last meeting we had a conversation about the vehicle registration fee. So they are creating a county advisory committee. So if anyone is interested in being on the county advisory committee for the county, and basically the charge of the group is going to be to oversee the vehicle registration, the funds, and then looking at developing criteria to analyze potential capital congestion relief projects, looking at 38 different high priority areas, and then review the project list annually to make sure that the progress is occurring in those areas. So if you're interested, contact Ellen Rogelin at the county. She will send you an application and you can apply if you're interested, and they're looking for a number of committee members for that. The VRF, the plan is that they're going to focus on safety, local roads, improvements, and congestion. So the advisory committee is really going to be looking at the safety and congestion piece. Local roads are basically being defined as the local roads that we've got that are county roads, the 3.4 miles of county roads that we have in Canby, and looking at those across all the cities of Clackamas County, and then running them through the condition pavement index to figure out which roads are the worst and how to get them put together and improved and fixed. I know that that's been a conversation we've been having to get them repaired and up to snuff and eventually, or hopefully, take them over. Initial projections is that Canby will receive approximately $330,000 annually from the VRF, and that looks like to be beginning in 2020. And so next piece for us as a council will probably be a work session to revisit kind of some of the transportation pieces that we have, and then kind of looking at how do we want to best maximize those dollars and or leverage for other projects. Something that we'll be getting on the calendar here sooner than probably later. We also had an update on the T2020, which is a transportation bond that Metro is looking to put into place. Again, they're still working on the dollar amounts, somewhere between $5 billion and $20 billion. They're not sure yet what that's going to look like. We're not in Metro, so we're not in that. However, what they're looking at, a lot of the issues that they want to address are corridor connections and enhancements. So for us, that would be like Highway 99, McLaughlin Boulevard, Highway 43 as it goes into West Lynn. And right now, the initial evaluation sheet that we saw it's heavily favoring Multnomah County. And so myself and the mayors of Milwaukee, Wilsonville, Molalla, and Estacada are pushing back really, really hard on our mayors that meet with Metro often to explain and express our discontent and unhappiness about their focus. Granted, we're not in Metro, however, we do have a number of people that travel through the Metro Travel Shed. And the biggest, it was interesting because within our conversation, they put up an infographic that showed that 64% of those that live in Clackamas County that are employed leave Clackamas County and usually are traveling into Multnomah County and Washington County. So, and out of all the counties, we have the largest group proportionally that leave and travel that direction. And so, so it'd be interesting to see how this dwindles down. The initial list is, they've got almost 250 projects they could do, but the bond won't even, I think they're looking at a top 70 regarding that. So that's the update on that. The Chamber of Commerce, not Clackamas, the Canby Chamber, has Shred Day tomorrow at the Event Center. So if you have boxes of items that you want shredded for a small $5 contribution per box, bring it on over, and Canby Disposal will be on site shredding large quantities of paper and clearing electronics. So please take advantage of that. And regarding our city manager search, initial contact or conversation is that resumes and applications are already coming in, and that there's a couple of already candidates that the recruiting firm are very excited about vetting and sending our way. So that process continues. So that's all that I have right now. We'll move into councilor comments and liaison reports, and we'll start with Councilor Hyde.
Hello.
Hi.
There's not too much new with the Planning Commission. They are still having study sessions. They have all through March, and then they didn't have a meeting last week, but next week too. So they're still reviewing the proposed planning code amendments. So eventually those will trickle on over, but they haven't made any major development decisions in the last month. So that's it.
Great.
That's all I got. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Councilor Parker.
I might be able to be briefer than that.
Okay.
Bike committee meets next week, and next session, next city council meeting, the Historic and Landmark Commission is going to be making a major presentation. And the report out of the adult center is, our only responsibility is we're the landlord. And so I said, "Do you need anything done?" And they said no. So that's my report.
We're being good landlords. Excellent.
Okay.
I love it. Great. Councilor Hensley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I actually don't have a report, but after your C4 report, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Since the April 4th meeting from C4, there has been a citizen referendum petition gathering effort. I'm wondering, is the Board of County Commissioners moving forward with the VRF plans, or are they waiting to see if the referendum effort is successful?
So they are moving ahead with plans, and they shared with us at the meeting, kind of, they've brought in a firm to help with communication pieces to get out to the county, throughout the county, and they're looking at getting out the information about what are the projects that the county is looking at. So the vehicle registration fee, so it's a 60-40 split in terms of the revenue that comes in. So 40% are going to the cities, 60% to the county, but of that 60%, 10 of it is being set aside for leveraging for larger projects that might be needed throughout the county. And so they're currently working on kind of the communication piece of what they're looking at project-wise, and they've asked the cities to start, having the dialogue about what, like I just said, like what are we potentially going to be working on, providing those funds do start coming in 2020. So, yeah, my understanding is they're moving forward, yeah.
Okay, I was just wondering how much staff time was being put into something that is actually uncertain at the moment, because it could end up on the ballot in November, so.
Sure, and my understanding right now is, I mean, they're aware, obviously, that there's the chance of a referendum, and so right now they're doing their due diligence and moving forward with it. I think it's just part of, right now it's Board of County Commissioners just passed it, and so they've given staff kind of the marching orders of like, we're moving forward, and if the referendum gets filed, and then we have to, if they have to stop and drop anchor and wait, then that's what'll have to happen, so. But I think right now, that's their plan, is just to continue to move forward.
Continue until the signature gathering is done.
Until
If it does come May 21st, if the signatures are in and it goes to the ballot, are they going to cease and wait until November? Or are they going to continue even though it is on the ballot, or do you know?
That I can't speak to that. I mean, I can definitely ask Chair Bernard next time I see him and ask him kind of what that strategy is going to look like.
They have to have 10,000.
Carol, do you want to come to the microphone if you have some input there real quick?
Help us out.
Since you have Carol Rosen, our Canby Herald reporter, has some information.
They have to have 10,000 signatures by May 8th. And
May
if they
21st.
don't have all those signatures, it goes.
Either May 8th or is it the 21st?
I was told the 21st. So, but at any rate.
My
So-
information said May 8th, but you might be.
Okay, so at some point here, they've got we'll watch for the 8th. If it's not the 8th, then we'll wait for the 21st, but they've got to have 10,000 signatures turned in and verified, is my
Right.
understanding. Okay,
Indeed, yes.
perfect. Thank you, Carol. So, yeah, good question. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Anything
That's all I
else?
have. Nope.
Okay. Council President Dale.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, for Canby Utility, just as a reminder to everyone, every watt, every electron of power that we use here in the city of Canby comes from Bonneville Power Administration. So it all comes from the dams on the Columbia River. And every 2 years, Bonneville Power Administration resets the rates at which they sell power to municipalities like Canby. And they've just announced for their next 2-year cycle a rate of 4.4% increase. It's the second very modest rate they've proposed. And keep in mind, that's every 2 years. So cut it in half, 2.2%. It's actually less than the inflation rate. So the official rate hasn't come out yet, but they very, very, very rarely come out with a rate that is larger than what they've announced. So don't expect it to be larger than 4.4%. Canby Utility Board is expecting they'll likely they themselves will propose a rate increase about 5% to us, because they also have to include in that all of their expenses. So labor and PERS and capital and reserves. We'll have more rate information later in the summer for you, and the rate increase will go into effect come October after public hearings. And that's all we have, Mr. Mayor. Good news for rates.
Do we have any comparison in terms of what's PGE doing in terms of increase, or?
I haven't heard PGE's rate increase yet. Depending on what type of power customer you are, you can enjoy up to 30% a smaller rate by being a Canby ratepayer than you do an investor-owned utility like PGE.
Sure. Okay.
So, but no, I've not heard their rate increases yet.
I was just looking for 5% seems, it's an increase. I'm just curious.
It's an increase. It's pretty good for us in the, not the last rate increase, but the two before that were approaching 10%. So
gotcha.
These are comparatively really good.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Councilor Farwig.
I will stick with the trend of short reports. The fire board meets next week, so I don't have anything to report on that. And you obviously heard a lot of stuff from the library tonight. I will add, though, in the recent food drive, the library donated almost 800 pounds of food to the Canby Center, which is fantastic. And the Canby Center has sent a nice email saying thank you very much. So good job again to everybody who donated and who accepted. And it's awesome to be helping an organization like the Canby Center.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Councilor Spoon.
I also have a short report, just a couple of community announcements. Number one, First Thursday is going to be May 2nd. So there will be one more meeting before then, but it'll be the day before. And I'm really excited about how much First Thursday has grown. So if you were unaware, it's no longer First Friday, it's First Thursday. And a lot of businesses are having activities, events, reasons to come downtown and experience local businesses. Councilor Parker and I attended the Canby Center fundraiser last Saturday night. And what I wanted to report is that it's pretty amazing what they're doing there. I know a lot of people already know, but they basically, and I'm gonna hedge the numbers a little bit just to make it easier, but they've basically doubled both the amount of food they've provided in Harvest Share and Food Bank and the number of families they've served over last year. And that trend has been true for the last several years. So the work they're doing there is pretty extraordinary. If you're in need or if you know someone in need, the Canby Center is a great place to go. They're expanding their services. They've also added a volunteer component for people that are receiving, where they can provide an hour volunteer service a month. And I think that that's been pretty great. They also do some life coaching, some goal coaching. So the services are probably beyond what you're aware they are. So if you're in need at all, there's a lot of dignity in going to the Canby Center and receiving services, and they're doing great work there. Congratulations to the Canby High School Band, who just came back from California with 6 first place trophies. They won every category, including the sportsmanship spirit. I'm not sure exactly what they called it, but they won every category. They were in the Bay Area. So that's pretty exciting. Good luck to the speech and debate team. The Canby High School speech and debate team is headed to the state tournament tomorrow.
Good luck.
Yes.
To you as well. Good luck, Coach.
Thank you. Welcome to the new high school football coach, Jimmy Joyce. Was announced and is joining. So I watched kind of his video introducing himself. I think he's going to bring some great leadership to the team. And then if you don't mind, I just had a question for you about one of the things you said earlier that was kind of new to me. So you said that you were asking, you were seeking information from like a couple of counselors regarding proclamations and how we move forward. And I was just wondering if there was a reason you wouldn't seek information or counsel from all of us, since we're all elected and represent varied viewpoints, and you know, we are kind of all elected to represent the city. And I was wondering if there was any harm in seeking counsel or information from all of us in what and who our city recognizes.
Sure. And my initial piece is to start with the smaller group and then bring it to the larger group in terms of conversation.
Okay. I mean, there's only 6 of us, so it doesn't seem like we're a super large group. I'm going to respect that, but I would just encourage you to seek a varied viewpoint.
Sure.
Because I think that we all bring different perspectives and have different experiences in the community. And I think that if we're looking at who the city should recognize and celebrate, that a broader base of perspective is better than a more narrow base. But I respect your opinion as mayor and your authority, but I would just encourage you to look broader instead of more narrow.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you. Great. Thank you all. We'll move into the consent agenda.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt the minutes of the April 3rd, 2019 City Council regular meeting, the reappointment of Edward Warnock to the City Budget Committee for a term to end on June 30th, 2022, the appointment of David Horax to the Canby Utility Board for a term to end on February 28th, 2022, the reappointment of Doug Berkeland to the Heritage and Landmark Commission for a term to end on June 30th, 2022, the reappointment of Ryan Oliver and Barry Johnson to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for terms to end on June 30th, 2022, and the reappointment of Andrea Warnock to the Traffic Safety Commission for a term to end on June 30th, 2022.
Second.
The motion has been made by Council President Dale and seconded by Councilor Hensley to approve the consent agenda, which include the adoption of the minutes of the April 3rd, 2019 City Council regular meeting, reappointment of Edward Warnock to the City Budget Committee for a term to end on June 30th, 2022, appointment of David Horax to the Canby Utility Board for a term to end on February 28th, 2022, reappointment of Doug Berkeland to the Heritage and Landmark Commission for a term to end on June 30th, 2022, reappointment of Ryan Oliver and Barry Johnson to the Parks and Recreation Advisory Board for terms to end on June 30th, 2022, and the reappointment of Andrea Warnock to the Traffic Safety Commission for a term to end on June 30th, 2022. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That carries 6-0. We have no resolutions and ordinances tonight, Kim. Sorry. Is there anything you want to say anyways? Okay. New business this evening, a special transportation funds, STF, legislative letter presented by Julie. Good evening.
Good evening. Mayor, councilors, thanks for this opportunity. I want to talk to you about my concerns regarding the Special Transportation Fund, which we commonly refer to as STF. The governor's original general fund budget didn't include any STF funds, although the Joint Committee on Ways and Means has added STF funds into the general fund budget, and although it is a somewhat less amount than what was received in the last biennium. For those of you who aren't up to speed on transit funding sources, I thought you might want to know that STF is a statewide transit fund that supports transportation programs for seniors and people with disabilities. Historically, the funding has come from cigarette tax revenue, the Oregon ID card fees, and what we call the lawnmower fund, which is essentially if you have equipment or machinery that doesn't operate on a road, you're eligible for a tax refund. Although many people don't apply for that tax refund, so the funds build up over time, and eventually that money is transferred to the STF fund. So those are the dedicated sources for the STF fund. And it's been a declining source of revenue, primarily because cigarette tax is declining. So over the last several biennia, the legislature has given general fund money in the range of $10 million last year. And about a little more than $2 million of that comes to the Tri-Counties. So CAT has received approximately $120,000 annually for operating, but we've also received, in years where there was more money and we were able to write good applications, we've received some for capital projects, like matching funds for vehicles that we purchased, and also some matching funds, I believe, for a camera system. We got some STF dollars for that also. There's reason to be concerned that the legislators and other people might confuse STF dollars with the new transit funding source that was established by House Bill 2017, which is called the Statewide Transit Improvement Fund, or STIF. So these programs are very different. And as I mentioned, STF is specifically for seniors and people with disabilities, and STIF has a much broader scope. It's expected to address low-income transportation, and also students and solutions for improved connections between regions. And new projects are the only eligible projects. You can't apply for existing services, which most of the STF projects are existing programs. The Oregon Transit Association, or we call it OTA, is the lobbying organization for public transit entities. And the members were really involved in the passage of House Bill 2017 and the STIF funding. It's expected to generate way more money than STF ever hoped to generate. the members of that committee are, the majority of the members on that committee are urban and mass transit. So the rural and smaller provider perspective is in the minority. And many of us who fall in that category are more concerned about the loss or the reduction of the STF funds. For CAT, it may not be quite as dramatic as it is for some of the other providers. For some of the providers, this is their only source of match. They don't receive any, like we have a payroll tax, they don't have any local funding at all. So the only funding that they really have is the STF funds. It's been suggested that the STIF funding should cover the STF programs. And that sounds really nice in theory, but the regulations and the rules for STIF just make that not feasible. It really wouldn't work because STF programs are primarily existing and they wouldn't compete. And some of the providers are not even eligible to apply because they're nonprofits, and nonprofits are not allowed to apply. So I've written a draft letter, and I've talked to the mayor about this. It came up at C4. We discussed it a bit at C4, and I think there was a consensus that the mayors and councils directly impacted by this should speak out somehow. The C4 stopped short of endorsing a letter from the C4. I believe they didn't want to muddy the waters with their priorities that they've already submitted to the legislature. My personal feeling is I don't know how you would get that confused, but that was their position. So anyway, I would really appreciate it if there could be some agreement to have the mayor sign this. Since I sent out the packet, I talked to some folks at OTA, and their position is that this is not on anybody's radar right now, and the money is fine. Nobody's threatening taking the money out of the general fund budget. But the small providers feel that we should be educating the legislators and others about this, and that if we don't, it may become at risk, and we wouldn't have time to then educate folks. So anyway, as far as the draft is concerned, I don't know. I'm okay with doing whatever you folks think is good as far as addressing one letter to multiple recipients or addressing one to each of the co-chairs and co-vice chairs, which might be more powerful. I don't know.
Yeah, I won't weigh in necessarily on that, Julie, and I appreciate you drafting the letter and being here tonight to present this, because as you and I talked, at your office recently about this happening, then, we've really tried to hustle to get this in front of the C4 group, and we got all the transit providers there, which I agree with you. I'm not sure how it quite muddies the water. Clackamas County Coordinating Committee deals with transportation issues, and we set a legislative agenda, and that really being a lot of it centered around funding for I-205 and its enhancements and things like that. So I'm not sure. I think it's a group lack of maybe confidence in what the state legislature can decipher. I don't know, but I hope that the letter seems to cover the issues that we needed covered, and so I just thought it'd be pertinent to bring it to you all as a single message coming from the city of Canby versus me just signing it and telling you afterwards. So Julie, thank you for that. Questions or comments for myself or for Julie on this?
Mayor, do you have a preferred process on this? A motion by the council supporting this and directing you to forward a letter with our support? Is that what you're looking for?
That is what I'm looking for as a motion.
I have the motion. I'd be happy to make it. I move to authorize the mayor to sign the attached correspondence to the appropriate members of the Joint Committee on Ways and Means regarding reductions in STF funding.
Great. Motion's been made by Councilor Spoon to move forward on this, and seconded by Councilor Parker. Any other comments, questions?
I just want to say I'll defer to whatever you guys think is best in terms of who it goes to and what order and how all that happens. But I do think it's important that we back Kat and Julie and defend, because this service provided to our most at-risk citizens in terms of transportation is really important. However that looks in terms of who gets what letter when in what order, I don't have a preference. I just want to make sure that I'm authorizing you to correspond in whatever way you see the best fit.
Yeah, and I'm not sure which is the best, honestly, Julie. Councilor Parker, you've walked those hallowed halls on that as well.
You can make that call on your own.
Okay.
I've got a couple comments, but after we take the vote.
Okay. To your point, Councilor Spoon, we're could potentially look at a reduction of, I think we looked at about 40% reduction initially, which is huge impact, and we've gained so much traction regarding CAT and what we're trying to accomplish and trying to do here. And Julie's been working really hard with her team and the company we work with to really add more vehicles on the road to get people where we need to go. And so this any cutting in funding to me right now in this area seems to be kind of detrimental to what we're trying to do.
Yeah, and to speak to that, I've talked to a number of citizens recently who CAT, through these services, the services you provide, it is their way to get to local businesses, to get to the services they need, to get to their medication, to get to the grocery store. And I think if we're going to be the community that we seek to be, it's important that we continue to provide that service, for sure. The number of people I've talked to that use it as their primary means to get basic needs is, I think, meaningful in how important it is that we continue to support this. Yeah.
Great. Any other comments or questions for Julie?
I'm glad that you brought this to our attention, first of all, so thank you for the letter. And just in terms of the letter, I think just personalizing it, sending, to each of the chairs and co-chairs, and, send a personalized letter is what I recommend. If you don't mind signing 10 different letters.
I do not. I will sign as many as we need to get it on the radar and be aware of it. So.
Yeah, that was the comment I was going to make as well. I think that sending one letter to a bunch of people might get lost, to some people. So I would support sending one to each person.
No. When you have that ready, let me know. I will come sign
I'll
all 10 copies.
Kim, she's really good at this.
Great.
A lot of legislators don't like paper, though, just so you know.
Great. We'll send it in paper.
And an email.
And an email.
There's several legislators that have signs in their office saying we're paper-free, so.
Okay, good to know.
They do prefer electronics.
All right, we'll do that as well. All right, so motion's been first and seconded. Any other comments or questions at all? No. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Great, we will get that signed.
Thank you, I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Julie.
Before Julie leaves, Julie,
you're not off the hot seat yet.
hi there.
Don't leave.
It's not uncommon for any of us to run across either a state senator or a state representative. I appreciate you getting into the weeds with us on this, but if it would be possible to come up with a 25-second elevator speech for us, that when we do run across Christine and Alan, and we just have a minute to make a comment. If you can come up with something and send it to either the mayor or Kim, that's the sort of thing. Because quite often we do run into them at chamber events and, hi, how are you? And just an opportunity to lay something on them. I'm not sure I could take your 15 minutes and put it into an elevator speech. That's one. Two, and I know these are big picture items, but as long as you're here, let's do it. At the Adult Center Board of Directors, there was a concern by one person who couldn't get from the Oregon City Transit Center to the Amtrak station. So I know that's been on your radar before, just wanted to put it on. And oh dear, what am I spacing on the third one? Oh, bus shelters.
Yes.
I love to see some bus shelters out.
Well, I can tell you that I've made a little bit of progress on that. In the current budget year, we had Kurt do a little survey for me, and he actually, for the ones inside the Canby urban growth boundary, I now have costs and everything so that I can apply. Next time there's an opportunity, I will be able to send something in that's real specific, that says exactly what we want and how much it would cost, which is a huge step forward, because that's hard to do, so.
Thanks for your work.
Yeah.
Thanks, Julie.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you all for that. I appreciate it. City Administrator, Business and Staff Reports. Joe, since you were in that acting role, do you have anything?
Well, I can be slightly helpful, and it would actually lead back to, and I think the person who asked the question's gone, but you had asked myself to get in touch with the chief because he's going on vacation. I have a vacation coming, and we actually picked 2 dates in the end of April, and I'll give those to you for the purposes of talking about that specific matter. So I wanted to report that to you. I thought that would be helpful for the audience who asked the questions, that it was actually the chief and I trying to come up with dates that worked with us around our schedule in order to get it to you. So I'll share those with you offline. And otherwise, one of the other pieces that I think would be important for everybody to know is if you do have questions about, say, proclamations or something that touches on public records, those are available to people, but the process usually isn't going through an elected official to get it. It's usually coming to our office and filling out the paperwork for a public records request, so that staff knows who's asking for it and we can refine what they're actually asking for. And then we can put, if it's going to be onerous, we can put the price on it so that we know exactly how that works, and that's consistent for everybody. So I know you're trying to be sensitive in this arena, and I appreciate that, but as far as public records requests go, we try to be as consistent with everybody as possible, and to have a record of what the public's asking for in the price tag that's connected to that. So I would, and I hate to do this, please come to City Hall and ask if you have public records requests, and we have a very specific process that we always follow with everybody, and they're available to people, so you can come and fill out that form and get it yourself.
And they actually don't need to do a public records request for proclamations. All of the council's agendas and packets, minutes are online, available. You can go to the webpage and download anything right there.
Right.
And that's all.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you, Joe. Perfect. Second opportunity for citizen input this evening. Anyone wants to, I'm not seeing any last-minute yellow cards running up. Action review, Kim.
You've approved the consent agenda, and you've authorized the mayor to sign a letter to the Joint Committee on Ways and Means regarding reductions in STF funding.
Great, thank you. Joe, you exec session this evening?
There's not.
Okay. There was a truncated, ORS here listed, so I thought.
Well, that's the one that it refers to any ongoing litigation, and therefore, if we had something that I was burning to tell you about, I could do it without having to go through the process of amending that agenda.
And
so
we are still not in any kind of litigation.
Well, we aren't in any that need any sort of fires burning so brightly that I need to get some direction from you.
Well answered. Way to tap. Right. That is
nice soft shoe there.
That is Joe doing a tap dance for us this evening. Thank you, sir.
You put the lawyer on the spot.
I did. I don't get to do that very often. All right. That is the end of our agenda. I will take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion made by Councilor Hensley and seconded by Councilor Varway to adjourn. Non-debatable motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone want to hang out more? No? That ends at 6-0. Good night, Canby. Thank you very much.